Hello, esteemed listeners. Today we will discuss an important topic that affects our daily lives, the expected rise in food prices. Did you know that several common products could double in price next month? Let's understand the real reasons behind these increases and what it means for your wallet. The first product is milk. The dairy industry faces serious difficulties, primarily due to a labor shortage and rising operational costs. The shortage of skilled workers significantly complicates the operation of dairy farms, as finding specialists for herd care and process management becomes increasingly difficult. Moreover, operating costs have risen due to various factors, such as the increase in feed, equipment, and energy prices. These problems severely restrict the production capabilities of the dairy industry, hindering the ability to meet the growing demand for dairy products. As a result of these difficulties, consumers can expect a significant rise in milk prices, with forecasts suggesting a possible increase of 100% or more in the coming month. The main reason for these increases is the struggle of dairy farms to maintain production levels amid labor shortages and rising operational costs. The labor-intensive nature of dairy production, along with the need for special skills, exacerbates the impact of worker shortages on efficiency. Moreover, the rise in feed prices, caused by factors such as extreme weather disrupting harvests and increasing transportation costs, also contributes to the overall expenses for dairy farms. These financial burdens are passed on to consumers as milk producers seek to offset increased production costs by raising prices. Moreover, the imbalance between supply and demand exacerbates the situation, as dairy farms cannot cope with the growing demand for dairy products. This gap between supply and demand further intensifies the pressure on milk prices as consumers begin to compete for limited stocks in the market. In light of the expected price increase, consumers may need to reassess their budgets and make more informed purchasing decisions. Strategies such as seeking alternative dairy products or the possibility of bulk purchases can help mitigate the impact of rising milk prices on family expenses. The second product is apples. Extreme weather events, including frosts and hail, cause serious damage to apple orchards, leading to a significant reduction in harvest. These adverse weather conditions resulted in severe damage to apple trees and fruits, which in turn reduced the overall supply of apples. As a result of significant damage to apple orchards, consumers should prepare for a noticeable increase in apple prices in the near future. The decrease in apple harvest leads to a shortage in market supply, which raises prices as demand exceeds available quantity. Apple orchards extend beyond the current season, which may lead to long-term consequences for apple production. Damage from frost and hail can negatively affect the health and productivity of the apple trees, impacting future harvests and exacerbating supply issues. In addition to weather challenges, apple producers may face financial difficulties due to significant losses from damaged crops. The costs of restoring gardens, transplanting trees, and reducing future risks can lead to increased production expenses, which may ultimately be passed on to consumers through higher apple prices. Moreover, the geographical distribution of apple orchards plays an important role in supply dynamics and price fluctuations. Regions heavily reliant on apple cultivation may experience more noticeable consequences from adverse weather conditions, amplifying the effect on apple prices in broader markets. In light of these challenges, consumers may need to reconsider their shopping habits and consider alternatives to fresh apples, such as canned or frozen varieties, to mitigate the impact of rising prices on their budget. Overall, the combination of extreme weather events and their consequences for apple orchards highlights the vulnerability of agricultural systems to climate risks. As consumers face the consequences of reduced apple supplies and rising prices, proactive measures like diversifying food sources and supporting local producers can help mitigate the impact of supply disruptions on food security and availability. As for pasta, rising wheat prices, the main ingredient in pasta production, combined with supply chain disruptions, have led to a significant increase in production costs. Wheat prices have risen for various reasons, including adverse weather conditions affecting yield, increased demand for wheat products, and logistical issues in transporting wheat from production areas to manufacturing facilities. These supply chain disruptions, from transportation delays to labor shortages, exacerbate the problems faced by pasta manufacturers in sourcing ingredients and maintaining production efficiency. As pasta producers face rising costs and logistical difficulties, consumers may soon feel the impact on their wallets, with the possibility of prices doubling or even more in the coming months. The rising cost of wheat directly leads to increased production costs for pasta, forcing producers to adjust their pricing strategies according to these increased expenses. Moreover, supply chain disruptions create additional problems, potentially leading to irregular availability of pasta and further complicating the price dynamics in the market. Moreover, the consequences of rising pasta prices extend beyond immediate consumer budgets, impacting broader aspects of food security and accessibility, as pasta is a staple food for many households, plays a key role in providing nutrition worldwide, especially in regions where it is a staple food. As a result, sharp price spikes in pasta could disproportionately negatively affect vulnerable populations, exacerbating food security and socioeconomic inequality. In response to these challenges, consumers may need to seek alternative sources of carbohydrates or consider making homemade pasta as a cost-effective solution. In addition, supporting local producers and promoting sustainable agricultural practices can help create resilient food systems capable of withstanding supply chain disruptions and mitigating long-term price volatility. As for cheese, the cheese industry faces a number of serious problems, including a shortage of milk, labor shortages, and rising transportation costs. The shortage of milk is due to various factors such as fluctuations in the cattle population, seasonal changes in milk production, and changing consumer preferences. At the same time, the lack of labor disrupts the cheese production process, as skilled workers are needed at every stage, from manufacturing to aging. Moreover, rising transportation costs due to increased fuel prices and logistical challenges further complicate the situation for cheese producers. As cheese producers face this complex web of problems, consumers should prepare for a noticeable increase in cheese prices in stores next month. The shortage of milk directly affects the availability of cheese, while the lack of labor reduces production efficiency and increases operational costs. Moreover, rising transportation costs increase the overall production burden, as cheese producers are forced to cope with higher expenses for transporting raw materials and finished products. The consequences of rising cheese prices extend far beyond the consumer level and affect every link in the supply chain, from dairy farmers to retailers. Each participant feels the pressure of increasing cheese prices, highlighting the interdependence in the food industry. These price fluctuations may lead to changes in consumer behavior, who will seek more affordable alternatives or reduce cheese consumption to manage household expenses. To cope with these challenges, cheese producers may consider implementing strategies such as optimizing operations, reviewing transport contracts, or diversifying procurement methods. At the same time, consumers can adapt to the situation by choosing more advantageous offers, buying in bulk, or exploring lesser-known varieties of cheese. As for potatoes, the potato harvest faced a double threat: an invasion of pests and adverse weather conditions, leading to a decline in yield. Pests like the Colorado potato beetle can devastate potato fields, resulting in significant losses for farmers. In addition, adverse weather conditions, including excessive precipitation, drought, or off-season frosts, can slow potato growth and reduce tuber development. Considering the issues related to pest damage and adverse weather conditions, consumers can expect significant price increases for potatoes in the near future. The reduction in potato harvests, exacerbated by pest invasions and poor weather conditions, will lead to a supply of potatoes that may not meet the growing demand, which in turn will raise market prices. Moreover, the possibility of increasing potato prices by 100% or more highlights the seriousness of the problems faced by potato production and emphasizes the potential impact on consumer budgets. Moreover, the consequences of rising potato prices affect not only the direct expenses of consumers, but also various stakeholders in the agricultural sector. Farmers face declining yields and rising production costs associated with pest management and crop protection measures against adverse weather conditions. Handlers and distributors face difficulties in providing enough quality potatoes to meet market demand, which may lead to potential supply chain disruptions. In response to the anticipated price increase, consumers may have to change their shopping habits and consider alternative starchy carbohydrates. Supporting local potato producers and promoting sustainable farming methods can also contribute to the resilience of potato production against challenges related to pests and weather conditions. As for eggs, outbreaks of bird flu have led to significant losses among birds, resulting in mass culling and a substantial egg shortage. Bird flu, caused by influenza viruses that primarily affect birds, can rapidly spread among domestic bird populations, leading to high mortality and decreased egg production. In response to outbreaks of avian influenza, poultry producers often resort to mass culling to prevent the spread of the disease and protect public health. As a result of disruptions related to avian influenza, consumers should prepare for a significant increase in egg prices in the coming months. The egg shortage caused by reduced production capacity due to the mass culling of affected birds creates significant tension in the egg supply chain. As supplies decrease and demand increases due to the important role of eggs in various culinary applications and dietary preferences, prices are likely to rise, reflecting a market shortage. Moreover, the consequences of rising egg prices extend beyond consumer budgets, affecting various sectors of the economy. Sectors reliant on eggs as ingredients or main products, such as bakeries, restaurants, and food manufacturers, face rising production costs and potential supply constraints, affecting their operations and profitability. Consumers may need to adapt their eating habits or seek alternative sources of protein to mitigate the impact of rising egg prices on their household budgets in response to challenges related to avian flu outbreaks and subsequent egg shortages. Stakeholders in the poultry industry can implement measures to enhance biosecurity, prevent the spread of diseases, and support the recovery of affected bird populations. Government agencies and public health organizations can also play an important role in monitoring and managing outbreaks of avian influenza by implementing regulations and providing support to affected poultry producers.